welcome to the Road Cook. Today we're going to make some simple buttermilk biscuits. Nothing to it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ingredients. Simple. You can roll them out and cut them. You can drop them, kick them across the room, whatever turns you on. Had a little brain fart there. Okay. Oh yeah, my cheat sheets. Wanted to show you guys this. It's my little book of cheat sheets. Look how beat up this thing is. This has been bouncing around with me on boats for over 16 years. Bless its heart. Alright, so first of all, we need flour. All purpose is great. I happen to have some bread flour here. I guess bread flour has a little bit more gluten. Maybe they'll be a little denser. I've never seen that big of a deal. Just find whatever works good for you. So we need 3½ cups and 4 for the board. But what I've got, I have a silicone baking sheet. This thing you can actually put it in the oven. I don't have the courage to, but that's what the manufacturer says. This one's made by Super Kitchen. You can get it online, and I've been extremely impressed with it. It's awesome. It's not that expensive. I don't remember what it was. It was under 20 bucks, I think. But in any case, rather than doing your traditional 3½ cups and putting ½ cup on the board or adding it as you go, I'm just going to go ahead and dump 4 in there. And this is where, because I'm using the bread flour, I may have a little issue with more or less flour, but that's what baking's all about. So I don't really, I mean, if my mama saw me scooping flour out of a bag like this, she'd whoop me, because that's not how I was taught. She always took a tablespoon, and she'd tablespoon the flour into the cup, and then she'd take the handle of the tablespoon and scrape it off. I hope that was 3. And that gives you, you know, a loose, proper measured amount of flour. But the scratch cooking that I do, breads, basic breads, biscuits, things like that, it's not that big a deal. I'll add a little bit more flour if it's too wet. I'll add a little bit more liquid if it's too dry. Certainly I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. Okay, that's my flour. Try to get your dry ingredients first. You need a teaspoon of salt. Yes, I know it's very low, but that's how I am. You want to put in more, put in more. Going to need 2 tablespoons of baking powder. And how much is 2 tablespoons of baking powder? Well, that would be about 1 ounce. Which is about 1/8 of a cup. I just made a mess. Always try to get your dry ingredients in first. And give them a stir. Just sort of help them get all mixed up, you know. Okay, then just like if you were cutting dough, and cutting dough is when you take a half circle cutter and either on the board, in a bowl, wherever, and you have your flour in there, you throw in your shortening, and you cut that shortening into that flour. This is the first stage for, say, making a pie crust. Like I said, I'm not that delicate about these things, but what I will do is I will add my lard. I prefer lard, use shortening if you like. Oops, I forgot I have my glasses on. That's going to make the camera all shiny. Get rid of them. Okay. Sorry, it's just been one of those days. Okay, so I'm going to put my lard in, and then I'm going to put it on the KitchenAid, and I'm going to give it a whirl, and that'll more or less cut it into the dough. So I need a ½ cup of shortening, lard. One of the reasons I like the lard is it tends to make the product lighter and fluffier. Don't ask me why. Sometimes I just go with it. Clean as you go, clean as you go. Okay, so now we're going to give this a spin. And note, when you're doing, come on, Brain. When you're doing breads, you're going to use a bread hook. When you're doing pancake batters, biscuits, when you're doing a batter or something like that, you're going to use the paddle. The paddle goes closer to the bowl, so you'll get more even distribution of force. The hook sits about this far off the bottom of the bowl, and all it does is literally hook the bread dough and then knead it around and around. You don't really want to knead a batter or a dough like this. I've got a real powerful machine here, so I got to keep it real low. About all there is to that one. Okay, so as I was saying, when you're kneading a bread dough, most of them you need for like 10 minutes or so. You want to really thoroughly mix that up. When you're working with a biscuit dough, a pancake batter, a cake batter, anything that does not have a yeast in it, anything that uses a different leveling agent, you know, such as the baking powder in this one, whenever you're doing that, you want to leave it slightly lumpy. Especially like a pancake batter. Give it a try next time you do pancakes. Even if you're using a box mix that you're just adding water to, leave it just a little bit lumpy. Not big clumps, but like little tiny lumps. And what this does is, as it's cooking or baking, these leavening agents bind with everything better and get activated, and that's when you see pancakes that fluff up, that are thick. Unless, of course, you're making a souffle pancake, and that's a different animal altogether. All right. So now into this, I am going to need a cup and a half of buttermilk. Now this is where things get slightly tricky. Oh God, I love that. Because buttermilks are different kinds. This one is a Belgium style buttermilk, and it's whole milk. When I'm dealing with something like this, I have no interest in 1%, 2%, actually 1%, 2%, whatever percent. I think it's all garbage, but that's an argument for another day. I grew up in the farmlands upstate New York, and I like whole milk for everything. So in any case, this buttermilk is extremely thick. And as I said, I have the bread flour instead of all-purpose. So I may have to tweak things a little bit, but that's all right. That's half the fun. So I need a cup and a half. This is a half cup here. Uno, dos, and three. Got you, didn't I? All right. So I just want to get this thing to come together. I don't want to whip it real hard. I can finish beating it up on the board. And that looked gorgeous. I think we lucked out. Okay. So if I were my cook, oh yeah, there. unplug it before you stick your hand in that bowl. This thing will rip your hand slap off. I can't tell you how many times I accidentally hit that. You really don't want to go there. All right. Don't you love the awkward silence? I was lost in thought. Well, you can see, I'll try to make sure you can see, that this is really just roughly mixed together. It's no big deal at all to do this in a bowl. Actually, you could literally, like if you were making a noodle, you could put the flour right on the cutting board and throw the ingredients in there and just mix it up by hand. I've just got many irons in the fire today, so I just wanted to take a quick, easy way out and show you guys how this all works. But here we are with our mess on the cutting board, and all you got to do is bring that mess together. I'm so glad I wash everything before I start throwing crap all over the place. You notice I got the apron on today. Me and flour, ain't gonna be everywhere. I could have mixed it in the machine a little bit longer and made it a little tighter, but as I said, I want it rough. I want those biscuits to rise because we'll cut them close to an inch thick, and they will be almost 2 inches when they're done. You know, this thing's got 4 cups of flour in it, and you're still only going to end up, and this is my cutter, they're not huge, about normal size, you're only going to end up with about a dozen of them because this is such a dense recipe. You see how I'm rolling around and trying to pick all the crumbs up. What happens if you don't have one of these nice shiny little cutters? You just reach up in the cabinet and grab a glass. Use that. Please don't use tin cans. That's nasty. Oh, but apron. Check out the apron. Friends don't let friends drink white Zinfandel. Good friend of mine gave me that many, many years ago. I miss her. All right. So, we're about there. And this is an Italian or European style rolling pin. It doesn't have the handles and spinning things like American rolling pins do. It's easier to work with. It's stainless steel, so I can wash it. I do have a wooden one. I try to avoid the wood for cross-contamination, but they are still cool. Again, very inexpensive, no moving parts to oil or to cross-contaminate with, and it does an awesome job. And it generally does not really stick. If you got a sticky dough, this usually won't stick to it. I say usually, but you know, accidents happen. In this case, it's picking up some of this dough. There we go. So the metal was dry. I should have probably oiled it just a touch before I did this. Generally don't have to. All right. So I want this more or less an inch thick. Instead of breaking out the ruler, I break out my finger. Now this isn't exact, but in general, most people, the vast majority of people, their digits are an inch. Measure them. Go ahead. So all I'm doing, I made it a little thin. I'm closer to a half. Okay, we'll go with a half. So all I'm doing is using that as kind of eyeball it. Now if I were my cookie sheet, where would I be? Oh well. I'll lay them out here and then I'll find the cookie sheet. remember where it is. Be right back. Alright. Now, I know everybody and his brother says you don't have to grease the cookie sheet for biscuits. The reason that is because it's got so much grease in it. That being said, I have had to scrub the jingles out of these things more than one time, so I'm going to err on the side of caution and throw a little spray down in this bad boy. Okay. Say, well, yeah, they did end up being about an inch. I give them a little bit of space. A biscuit doesn't particularly need to be spaced, but I want it to have as much heat circling around it, you know, engulfing it. I want the heat dispersal to be nice and even. And you certainly don't have to roll it out. You can push it down with your hand. Before I got all these fancy toys, I just put it in a ball, smoosh it, and throw it in the pan. And I say you can use these like drop biscuits. These work really, really well on things like crawfish pie. You go ahead and you would make your stock and throw in your Trinity and crawfish and all that. And then before it went in the oven, you would go ahead and line it, the top of it, with biscuits. And ooh, that'd be more better than good. Mm-hmm. Oh, I know another thing I wanted to tell you while I'm wasting time rolling these things out. Let's have a talk about corn. I got some nice fresh corn over here. Corn on the cob, got for nothing. Well, just about nothing around here. So I'm going to go ahead and prepare this today for this particular meal. What we do around here is when it's in season and we can get bushels of these things, I'll bring them home. I'll chop off this end, I'll chop off this end just a little bit, and take off like one layer of peels. Then I portion them out, vacuum seal them, and freeze them. In this case, I'm going to cook it whole. Now there's a gazillion different ways of cooking it whole, but my friend Fred taught me, she used to say, just throw it in the microwave for 4 minutes. 4 minutes per ear. And it is amazing. So if you got 2 ears, it's 8 minutes. You know, on and on and on. It depends on the power of the microwave, and you might have to play with it a little bit. The general rule of thumb is that 4 minutes per ear, microwave, and your corn is done. And I should have been rolling while I was talking, but I don't know. Either too much coffee today or not enough. They say it's a full moon tomorrow, and they say it's going to be a bad moon, so I'm going to blame it on that. And I'm making these real big. They're a little thicker than I would normally go, and because of that, let's see, 2, 6, I only ended up with 10. For the meal I'm making, that's fine. 10 is great. I'd rather have them kind of big. You always have a little piece left over. That's my tester. Okay, so that's really all there is to that. Into the oven, 350 for about 15 minutes, plus or minus 5. So I'm going to throw them in the oven, and we'll be back when they're done to show you how beautiful they are. Be back. All right, well, we're back. Our biscuits are done. You can see they puffed up real nice. Nice GBD, golden brown and delicious, top and bottom. And for me, a telltale is my little test piece did not burn. So if all these big bad boys are nice and fluffy and beautiful and she didn't burn, we're golden. And while they were baking, my oven's being a little weird today, so it actually took about 25 minutes to bake them. It happens. But while they were baking, I had a chance to finish off my corn in the microwave. So I neglected to tell you how to tell when it's done. First of all, it's steaming. Second of all, you squeeze it, you can feel it's soft. But the biggest telltale This my little sister Joni taught me a long time ago. When you're baking or you're cooking, the best way to know it's done is when you smell it. If you can smell it, it's done. No, that's not golden, but it's a good rule of thumb, which probably is an expression I shouldn't use. Any case, that's it for buttermilk biscuits and corn on the cob. Thanks for stopping by. We'll see you next time on The Road Cook. In the meantime, have a wonderful day, eat well, and be good to one another.